Hello and welcome to Art Block, the show where we talk about art and how it's made. I'm your host Spirit, and today on this series finale, I will be talking about 10 mistakes all artists make and how you can ensure a successful future for yourself in a creative field. Now, just a fair warning, this video is a bit more in the tough love side, but I would still recommend you watch it. Just be aware that I will be dishing out some hard truths here. Now then, let's jump into it. Something I frequently see in artists is that they'll draw and focus in one specific area while never seeming to improve. You'll see it a lot in freelance artists. They focus on one specific thing over and over again, and they never branch out or practice in other fields. The key to the quote, "just keep drawing," doesn't mean that you keep drawing what you want or you're most comfortable in. You can become really good at creating highly rendered or detailed character paintings, but if your anatomy is bad or you have no idea how lighting and shadow works, well, I don't mean to be blunt, but your art will look like crap if you don't broaden your horizons. Now here's the deal. I completely understand the draw of sticking to your comfort zone. It's what you know, it's what makes you feel safe. However, don't let it fool you. Drawing what you're comfortable with from time to time is good. It helps keep your confidence up and whatnot. But you need to become well-rounded in basic fundamentals in order to make truly good art. For me, a majority of my drawing time nowadays goes into either doing studies or researching something. Instead of drawing that one character you really like, try to do a master copy from one of the classical masters. Pick up an anatomy book. Hell, I've even got several textbooks from my various classes that help me improve my works. Studying the underlying structure of a person or an animal is crucial. Learn to draw realistically before you learn to draw stylistically. Not only will you be far more well-rounded, but you will be able to avoid a lot of common mistakes that are seen in art. Practice with purpose and seek out new opportunities. An hour of thoughtful practice will do far better for you than several hours on a completed piece, which still bears the same issues from before. Want some exercises? Here, I'll even give you guys some homework. Once a day for an hour, sit down with your sketchbook and practice one of the fundamentals of art. A few notable ones that I should mention are color, composition, construction, and anatomy, value, atmospheric perspective, thumbnails, contour lines. Don't know what any of those are? Look them up! Do research and get yourself a textbook. Do yourself some learning. Hell, you can even tweet your stuff at me at SpiritPD on Twitter, and I'll even provide feedback for you. Look, I'm someone who also has a lot of bad habits when it comes to my art. My main reason for telling you this is, just like me, I want you guys to break free of those habits and soar up the path to greatness. However, you won't be able to do that if you don't break out of your comfort zone. You can polish a turd and cover it in as much glitter, overlays, and particle filters as you want, but at the end of the day, it's still gonna be crap. Another thing which is simple but should be noted is planning your drawings. A bad habit that primarily derives from the digital art world is that folks do not plan their pieces. This ends up spawning issues of composition, breaking the rule of thirds, having too much negative space, or even not having enough negative space. When it comes to your drawing, set the size of your canvas and lock it. Don't mess with the crop, don't change it in the middle of working, just create little thumbnails drawing out the idea you're planning to go with first. Create a minimum of 3. Ideally, the more varieties you can come up with, the better. This is called the ideation stage, where you're coming up with the earliest ideas for your work. When it comes to working on the big boys, so to speak, refrain from changing the size of the canvas unless you absolutely have to. Change the size of the characters you're working on. Maybe flip the canvas altogether. Or hell, if it's not working, don't be afraid to scrap it and start over. I can't tell you how many times I've completely scrapped a piece, only to create a new version that's far better in quality and is a better reflection of my skills. Changing the canvas size not only leads to having a weird resolution of the picture, but it will also make it incredibly difficult for you to make prints and merch. Also, just a note, another pet peeve right here, but work at larger canvas sizes. If 2000 by 2000 pixels is 5 inches by 5 inches and you need a 5 by 5 image, then work at 10 by 10, then scale down. Working at the larger size not only gives you more wiggle room, but scaling it down later will actually help hide the issues like fill problems and clipping errors. It's like the old saying, measure twice, cut once. About half of the art process is planning and research. The best work will come from careful planning and having a solid lineup of what you'll be doing first. Okay, this ties less into the actual process of making art and more into the business side of things. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen small artists under 1,000 followers who complain about not having any followers when it really isn't that hard to grow. Whether you're using Twitter, DeviantArt, Furfinity, Tumblr, Patreon, Instagram, whatever. Almost all social media platforms operate on a basis called keywords, or also known as hashtags. When you are posting art, use relevant hashtags to the piece. If you're a furry artist on Twitter, use stuff like #furry, #furryart, #furryartist. If you're doing Dungeons & Dragons art, Do stuff like hashtag D&D, hashtag D&D5e, hashtag Dungeons and Dragons, or hashtag D&D art. Some common ones that work well for folks making art that doesn't tie into one specific fandom are things like Sketch, WIP, Work in Progress, Art, My Art, Digital Art, Traditional Art, Copic Art, Procreate, My Artwork, Photoshop, Art 2020, and many, many more. Also be sure to participate into things like Portfolio Day, as those can provide a wonderful boost for artists on platforms. It might not seem like it, but the algorithm favors and pushes users who use hashtags. People who are looking for a specific art style or fandom will immediately stumble across your artwork upon looking up the hashtag. I use them, industry professionals use them, the key to getting noticed is keywords. This is a short and swift one, but try out new mediums from time to time. Not only will you ward off burnout, but you'll also have another skill under your belt, and you might learn something new. I learned a lot by doing ink paintings in college, or by trying out Copic markers back in my high school days. Traditional mediums aren't always cheap, but even just getting a little set for fun can lead to countless opportunities down the line. Heck, if you practice it enough, you might even be able to make a career out of it. Okay, another marketing one I know, but stick with me here. Aside from not using hashtags, a major mistake a lot of artists make are not having their prices or samples of their work readily available. I personally am now residing on Twitter, go follow me by the way, and I almost always have a pinned tweet which either features my commission prices, something important, or samples of my work as well as links to my medias when I'm closed. If you're planning on building an audience or a particular site and want commissions, don't make your clients redirect to another website just to get to your prices. Yes, you can include a link if they want to find out more, but especially if you're trying to advertise your work, have things readily available. If someone is asking around about commissions and you have your info in your pinned tweet, all you need to do is literally copy and paste that link over to the thread. People will see your work, and even if the person who is making the commission call doesn't take it, there is a chance that someone else will. If not, you may at least get a few new followers. Something I've learned about being in the YouTube sphere is that click-through rate is awful. What's click-through rate? Well, it's essentially when you put a link on one platform expecting people to go to another. If you're going to advertise your commissions on a site or build an audience there, have your prices readily available. I worked hard on my website personally, but I still keep my prices on my Twitter and other pages so that other people can access them easily. Speaking of sites, this is something I recently learned from a convention I was part of. If you have a digital vendors table where you are limited to a linear scrolling method like Discord, do not post your entire gallery there. Feature a selection of links and then a few pictures of your popular works to draw folks in. And then if they see something that catches their eye, they will click on your links and be taken to the full collection. Burying your links in walls of text and pictures is like trying to tell your shoppers to find a needle in a haystack. You are 70% less likely to make sales, folks are less likely to follow you, and you'll just end up feeling worse than when you started because your motivation will often derive from reward. Short and sweet one here, but make sure to warm up every day before you draw. Whether it's a couple of quick 5-minute sketches, working on thumbnails, or even just drawing circles in your sketchbook. I personally try to warm up for at least 5 to 10 minutes before I start drawing for the day. Not only does this help ease you into the process of drawing, but it will also calm you down, prepare your hand-eye coordination, and make you much less likely to burn out in the process of drawing. I found that if a drawing isn't going my way on the start of the day, I start to get frustrated with myself and my confidence drops. This can inadvertently affect the quality of my other art and can be super frustrating, leading not only to a creative block, but sometimes full-on burnout. 5 minutes of a warm-up is far better than losing 2 hours to scrap projects because your hand and eyes just couldn't seem to get their act together today. Something that might seem a bit counterintuitive but is actually really necessary to creating art is taking breaks. Whether you work standing at a drafting table, seated at a desk, or even squatting over your art, take breaks. Get up at least once an hour for 5 to 10 minutes to stretch. Get more water, go to the bathroom, etc. Take at least 30 to 40 minutes a day for 3 meals, one at the start of the day, one in the middle of your workday, and one at the end of the workday. They don't always have to be huge meals either. I've basically been sustaining on a sandwich and an apple for the past 6 months when it comes to my lunches. It should go without saying that our brains focus far better when given incremental breaks to refresh. For me, I usually start off the day slow, do a bit of meditation or thinking to myself. I'll work for a few hours, taking incremental breaks before taking a much longer break for lunch. At that point in the day, I dedicate at least an hour to me time, whether it's playing video games, watching videos, getting a snack, or even just meditating and letting my mind wander. I also make sure to take a break in the afternoon as well, usually about 5 to 10 minutes long, but just something to get away from the computer. Luckily, since most of my work is at home, I don't have to worry about office mates, so I usually just wait until lunchtime to have a nice long shower. Showers can do wonders for your brain, and naps are far better for the creative mind. Also, if you can afford to do so, try to dedicate the weekends or at least one day a week to personal time. Humans are not creative machines. We can't make things for people every day. Taking a single day to do nothing related to art, writing, or whatever your trade may be can not only do wonders in warding off burnout, but can also provide you time to spend with friends or family. Personally, I try to take Saturdays and Sundays off for myself, with Saturdays being a cool-down day and Sundays being D&D with friends before I start the week. Don't be afraid to take some time for yourself, but make sure not to give yourself too much personal time, if that makes sense. Laziness is a thing, so make sure to remain vigilant about how much me time invades what's not supposed to be free time. Yeah, I'm calling you guys out. Alright, ladies and gents. You want to know what one of the most common issues are with artists that not only decreases the quality of their work, worsens their mood, loses them clients, and causes them more frequent burnouts and art block? Not sleeping. The human brain on average requires about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. However, a majority of creative brains function much better on 9 to 10 hours. Creativity requires a different chemical release in your brain, which takes much longer to recharge, and making things in general takes a huge toll on your brain. Staying up late does not make your art better. It often looks like crap because you were tired and less aware of some of the issues that came with it. Pulling all-nighters is not worth your time because not only do you work slower when you're tired, but you are much more prone to making mistakes. You have an increase of plaque buildup in your brain, and you are much more likely to have a worse mood come the next day. Artists are emotional creatures. A lot of us rely on how we feel in order to make things. If you are staying up late and not getting enough sleep because you just have to finish that one drawing, then you really are shooting yourself in the foot. I promise if you get a good night's rest, you will be able to finish that drawing in half the time the next day. You are not required by law to finish a drawing in a single day. The best works usually happen over a longer period of time. Alright, I'm gonna be real with you guys. One of the major factors I've seen with artists and their craft is an issue with motivation. They'll often see other artists with thousands upon thousands of followers and constantly ask themselves, why am I not there yet? I work twice as hard, so why do they deserve the fame when I clearly deserve it more? Here's the thing. You are not entitled to fame, you have to earn it. Fame is a result of thousands of hours of hard work, constant failure, and pushing hard to get where you are. Either that, or you somehow got lucky with a certain niche, and now you're going to be stuck with it. Anyway, let me be honest with you. The moment you start trying too hard to achieve fame or reach a goal which you cannot force is the moment you suck the fun out of it all. The moment you suck the fun out of it is the moment that you become more aware of your air quotes failings, aka not reaching that bar that you set for yourself, which is often too high. The more times you fail, the less motivated you feel. The less motivated you feel, the less you work. And the less you work, the less likely you are to gain new followers because there's nothing for new people to latch onto. Stop worrying about the numbers. I do it too. Trust me. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because it's something I have struggled with time and time again, and it's only something that I recently learned. You are not alone in this. Social media and the modern world often drive us to focus so much on the numbers to where it leads to our own detriment. Your work is worth so much more than a number, and odds are a majority of the time there will be an audience for your work. You just have yet to find it. Social media is a rather fickle thing. It pushes the successes of those who are already successful forward as a means of showing off the golden child, while others underneath seemingly get nothing. You might not have the audience you need right now, but if you keep working on it in the future, you'll find them eventually. Which leads me to our final point. Keep going. Here's the thing about success. Not everyone becomes successful, but you have the opportunity to go far. Whenever you find that spark, whenever you find that drive that keeps you going, hold on to it. Cherish it. Keep fighting for it. A lot of people out there don't even discover that fire to create, so you're already one step of the way there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Making art is hard. Creating anything worthwhile requires you giving it your all, and then some. There are days where you're going to look at what you made and wonder what even the point was to all of it. You're going to work yourself to the bone, feeling exhaustion, feeling burnout creeping at every essence of your being. Some days you're going to tell yourself you're wrong. Other people are going to tell you that you're wrong, that what you're fighting for isn't worth it, or you should just go get a normal job and fade into the background. I'm not going to tell you that you're special, because no one's special right off the bat. Being special isn't something that you start off with. Being special is what you're made of. You know what makes someone special? Their heart. Their courage. The nights where they fight with everything they have just to see the things they love through. Some people will get lucky and get famous on something shallow, but those who have the lasting impact on the world are those who choose to make that impact, no matter how big or how small. After all the tired nights, all the tears, and that feeling of being at the brink of failure, one of these days, your will and determination will come to fruition. The people who make the biggest impact on the world aren't always the best artists either, and most of the time, it's not the world that's going to feel that impact. Sometimes your actions can affect someone on such a deep level that it drives them to a whole new road of possibilities. It's not about what you are or where you came from that matters. Most artists come from humble origins, but it's who you are that counts. The future of success lies in your hands. The future of your success is in your hands alone. So, will you keep going?
Suddenly you're nowhere to be found. I turn around.